All right, good morning, guys. I'm on my way to the gym, but I had some thoughts, so I really just, I really wanted to just put them out there. And a big thought that I have as I, kind of make decisions for what I'm gonna do today, is what do I prioritize? And a big thing is the social aspect, and I think that let me rephrase that. I think a lot of us we chase money, we chase our ambitions, our dreams, and all these things. But one of the biggest things that I think is neglected just so much, and it's gonna be so rare in the future, is the social side of things, right? And that's friends. That's your network, that's your connections. All of that. And at the end of the day, whether you want to succeed in business, whether you want to succeed in business, you want to be an athlete, or whatever you want to do, at the end of the day, it comes down to connections, right? You want to be an athlete. How do you know the best coaches? You want to be in business. How do you know good investors, right? How do you know A players? Like, how do you know all these people? Let me fix this real quick. But right, and so it comes down to people at the end of everything, right? Because we are the only ones that can interact and build relationships with each other. Now we're starting to see something that's interesting. That's AI, right? We kind of saw social media take a swing at this, but we're seeing AI do this as well. Not trying to build relationships artificially, or like non-human to human kind of relationships, where it's basically like an AI and a human are talking. That AI is building a relationship, but that AI is trained to do things that humans don't usually do when it comes to building relationships, right? Maybe the AI is trying to extract data out of them to monetize them, right? Whereas you're having a relationship with your friend, you're just looking to have a good time. And so I think that's definitely a big thing. And really, like, my biggest kind of look backs and things I'm pivoting to and focusing more on. I'm so grateful that I'm young and I get to really correct my life and learn things at such an early age, and experience things, is really the social part. For me, it's like, how do I live a life where I'm always going to be connecting and meeting people and building relationships and planting seeds. And I think that's a big thing. And just like always meeting people, always building relationships, and always going on experiences, whether that's trips with your friends, whether that's events, all of those kind of things. And I remember, like, in school, I failed to leave school. So I went to a really tiny, small school, and there was no social life there, right? And so my biggest thing is I thought school was bad. No, school's not bad. I just went to a school that had no social life, which is something I was looking for. And instead of taking that uncomfortability and going and moving to a new school and trying to, how do I, sway everyone? How do I convince my parents to let me go to this new school? I decided to just kind of sit back, and then I decided to quit. And I said, I'm gonna make money because that's gonna solve all my problems. But in reality, it just amplifies things. And so, yeah, I'm really just kind of giving everything back. I don't want to go down this whole, loser, lonely, out of shape, money type of driven guy, which I see a lot of people, and this is really glorified. And I can tell you, this is not something you want to do. It's not, like, it is the worst kind of, usually the shit that is glorified the most is like the worst lives. Like, these lives is horrible, like, trust me, so I really just, like, I think that's a big thing. I think a big thing, is philosophy too, right? I think that, like, it's so important to have a sharp mindset, and just to seek personal development, self-improvement. Like, why are we here? Right? Like, why are we all, we've all asked ourselves this question, right? why are we here? What are we doing? What is our prayer? Like, some, you know, some of us might feel hungry, some of us might not, but there's times where we all feel like this kind of like hunger, like I'm ready to do anything, but like what, you know, like why am I here? And I think that that's kind of like one of those questions we're all you know, trying to figure out. But yeah, you know, a big thing is like we have really, you know, our food for the most part, you know, I get, you know, we all go through hard times, but our food for the most part is kind of taken care of. Our shelter is, you know, so I'm grateful I have a vehicle, or I have a house, or I have friends I can sleep at, you know what I mean? But like I have a shelter, and so really it just comes down to relationships. And that's another thing. If you have relationships, you can technically have those relationships which can support, you know, the food and the housing. Like, think about your family, your parents, right? That's a relationship, and now you get, you know, food and housing. So really, at the end of the day, relationships are everything. Everything. Nothing else matters. Whether you want to be anything in life you want to do, even if you do not do anything, so like it's like a isolated solo sport or something, it still requires you to have really good relationships and connections. And I think that this is not taught anywhere, and I feel like, you know, I just, it's the most important thing. If you want to make money and you do not know how, what is your best option? To go walk and slave away and not talk to anyone? No, it is to talk to everyone and build as many, you know, of those connections and relationships as possible. And so that's kind of my thoughts for this morning's, you know, video. I think I'm gonna start posting more. You know, I've really tried to do this YouTube thing for a while, but I suck at editing. Like, I can't edit, I can't make in the stories and all this stuff. Like, it's really just I just want to talk, like live streaming, you know, like I just want to talk directly to the camera and just post it. And so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna kind of like spill out my thoughts, spill out what I'm thinking, and, you know, really just put it out there. If it's valuable, if it's not valuable, you know, I don't know, but it's authentic, and so that's what I'm gonna do.